Okay, hello, my friend. Well, hopefully that you are doing great. So in this lesson, I want to share you how to control some dynamic control on the page. Actually, what we gonna do that we will try to do some interaction on the page, and then we can observe to check whether that action is successfully or not. So we will try to do what? We will try to click on the remove button here, you can see, and then we will wait until the checkbox is invisibility on the page. And then we will do the same thing that we will try to click on the enable button here so we can re-enable this input field, right? So besides, we will learn something like before you learn how to wait for something appears on the page, but now we can learn in an opposite side that we will wait for all the elements on the page that disappear for this case, and then we will learn another Selenium API that we will wait for something that's enabled, right? So in this case, it was disable, and then when we trigger the button, it's now enabled again, right? So we call it all like something dynamic controls. And in automation test, you will face this situation a lot because when you, for example, you add some field when you try to remove something on the page on your application, and then you will wait till the process is completed before moving on for the further step for the rest one, right? So, okay, so try to refresh the page and then go back to the IDE. Let me try to close on previous classes. Now, under the API learning bucket, you right-click and then you create a new Java class with the name dynamic content handle. So under this class, we will create a main method like before. And then what we do, we will create a new web driver instance with the name driver. And we will get from our web driver class, Qt class, get from driver here. After that, we will open the target testing URLs. In this case, I will copy the whole thing here. And then I just paste it here. And then I want to maximize the window as well. Maximize window and then maximize here. So after that, I want to try to declare some selector on the page here. So what I do, I will try to inspect the checkbox element here and then the remove button here, right? And then I will try to place with this form first before moving on for this form. So try to open the inspector windows here, and then you can see this is the remove button. So this remove button is under the checkbox example form. So what I do, I will try to locate it like by CSS selector. So what I do, I will do something like the $sign, and then I put the value inside. This is an ID. You see, this is an ID. So I will put this size first, and then after that, I will go with the button, enter. So you can see the length here is 1, and then if I move here, you can see it's highlighted on the left side. So that means this selector value, CSS selector value is correct, and then we can grab it and use it here. So let me declare like by from Selenium the remove button selector equal by .css selector, and I just paste the whole contents inside. The second thing that I want to locate, that is the checkbox here, and it's under the checkbox example, but it have an ID here. So I will grab this ID value, and then what I do, I will duplicate and then try to the checkbox selector equal by ID in this case. Then I will replace with the value. So you see here with the CSS selector, if we have an ID, we need to place this side. But if we use the strategies like by ID, we just need to paste the content here, the checkbox here. It's okay, right? So after that, I want to trigger that I want to click on this remove button, and then I will wait until this checkbox is invisibility on the page, invisible on the page, right? So what I do, I will do remove button selector dot no, sorry, I need to do like driver dot file element remove button selector, and then after that I will click. So another way that you can declare a web element, and then after that, if you find out the web element, then you can call to click. But in another hand, we can do something like driver file element. So this method will return a web element. After that, that web element has the method click here, so we can call directly here after we get the result, right? And then what I do, I will declare web driver wait equal and wait instant equal new web driver wait, and then I will put the driver here and 30 seconds. So the maximum for this explicit wait is 30 seconds. I will do what? I will wait until the expected condition here should be until invisibility of should be this one, but I'm trying to find out whether we have another invisibility. So we have invisibility of and invisibility of all element here for many elements. So here we can use the invisibility of element located. So I'm going to use this one. And inside, I will put the by locator. So in this case, I will put the checkbox selector directly. So checkbox selector directly. After that, what I try to do that, I will do whether I will try to print out whether this checkbox is visible on the page or not, right? So what I do, I will do something like I will print out driver dot file element by the checkbox selector is displayed or not. I will print out, and then I want to put a prefix here to make sure like is the checkbox displayed here to print out. So if we remove successfully, so that means is the checkbox display will be false, right? So try to run this class and then to see whether it works as expected first before we move on for this form, okay? So now click on this run button. It's now waiting for the checkbox disappear on the page. And now we go back here. We are facing an error here. So, okay. It throw the error on the line 22. Yeah, that makes sense. Let me tell you why it happened. So, because we already removed the checkbox on the page, and after that, if we call something driver file element, right? Driver file element, checkbox selector value. But because it were removed, so this will return a null value. So a null value doesn't have something like is display here, right? It's display here. So it's not correct in this case, right? So if you want to print out something like whether it's display or not here, so what we're trying to do, maybe we will put it in a try catch to avoid something like null pointer exception here. So we put in a try catch and we put the exception here. Then we will not do anything here except print out that, for example, we will try to find this one. Okay, find this element, but because we try and this element will removed on the page, so that means if you throw the error, an error in the catch block here, and then what we want to do that I can cut all the light here and then I put here, then I just print out something like the checkbox was removed, right? The checkbox was removed. So if you want to try, you can do something like before we click on the remove button, we can do something like system print out here that is the checkbox displayed here, and then what we put, we will do something like driver plus driver dot find element, and in this case I will put the checkbox selector here and I will call its display here. So before removing, the checkbox should be displayed, so it will be true, but after that we will see this message. So we can run again. Now just go back to our IDE here. So you can see the checkbox display true. And then after that, the checkbox was removed because this will throw in the catch block here. So it's not good to verify something in the catch block, but it's as a, as a workaround for us to check whether it's disappear or not on the page. So you can see we are not facing any null pointer here anymore. So the second one that we want to do that we try to click on the enable button here, right? And then we will use another Selenium API to check whether the checkbox is enabled or not, right? So what we do, I will do the same thing. First, I need to declare the selector for the input element here and the enable button here. So let's try to inspect. So this one under the firm input example and it's in the test input here. So let me grab here, copy. And then what I do, I will declare another one, just duplicate here. And I can call something 0 like the input selector, because in this case, we just have only one input field on the page. So we don't need to declare that what input in this case. So we just need to declare something like input selectors. I think that is enough for us to understand what is the element on the page here. So let me try to find by the CSS selector, and it's still under the input example, and then to the input path that we already do the similar thing here for the button in the above form, right? So let me try to duplicate, and in this case I want to locate for this button. So this button will under the input example form here. So I will use the CSS selector. So it should be the enable input button selector. So let me try to grab this one, and then I just simply replace the button here. Not sure. So let me try to comment something like handle the input form. So before trying to, enable this input form, I need to check whether the input form is enabled or not by doing something like, I want to print out is the input form enabled. And then I will plus with driver dot file element by input selector is enabled. So we lost another API here is enabled to check whether an input field is enabled or not, right? So after that, what I will do something like driver.file element again, and in this case, I want to call the enable input selector, and then I will try to click. After that, I will wait until the static condition, and I will wait for, in this case, it's not something like invisible or not, but I will wait for something else like, let me see. This is the static condition. This is the test matrix. Test to be like on a locator here. So if we try to enable, right? So this button will have the value here like disable, right? So we will wait until this button have the text like disable. So in this case, I can wait for the text to be the locator. In this case, will be the enable input button again, and the screen should be disable, right? Disable here, you see? And the time now is 30 seconds again, I think. One element. Oh, sorry. We already have the 30 seconds here. I just missed, just daydreaming a little. Sorry about that. So we will wait for this person to be have something like, the text disable, and after that we can check whether the form, the input here, the input field here is enabled or not. So let's try to copy the whole thing here, and then we paste here, right? Try to run it. You can see it's now handled for the input field here, and then just go back to our IDE. So you can see here is the input form enable false, and after that is the input form enable true. So that means we could successfully try to handle the dynamic contents on a page, and then we learn something else like the invisibility of an element located here, that we wait for something disappear on the page, and the second one that we can check whether an input field is enabled or not, and then the final one that we have another static condition to wait for something like text to be. So in this case, we will provide a by selector value here inside for the first parameter, and the second parameter will be the text on that specific locator, right? So try to practice yourself, and then try to remember these APIs, because we will face a lot in the real application. So bye for now, and see you in the next lesson.